will it? Okay, so a huge good evening. If you are joining us live, a massive hello, whether you're watching it live on Zoom, over on Facebook, or you're on replay. If you are on replay, as always, act as if you're watching this live. Make notes. If there's any questions that you have, comments, like head over to the group and share them after. So as we shared that this is going to be a bit of an overview on retrogrades before we come into the new moon. I thought let's bring something a little bit juicy to this month's new moon ceremony. So where to even start with retrogrades? So little caveat before we get started, if you're like, I know all of this, I know about retrogrades, I've got this down, I understand it, and then fantastic. Sometimes this is just good for a little reminder, but I know I get asked about, what are retrogrades? What is it? Just Mercury? We always hear these memes about, oh, it's Mercury. Even my husband says, is Mercury in retrograde? And I'm like, so cute that he says that. He totally listens when I don't think that he does. And let's jump in. So right now we have 6 planets in retrograde. One has just finished. And what is a retrograde? I have got notes here. I have got notes on my phone. I've got them all over the show. And actually, I think this calls for a workbook. So I'm going to get creating one of these for you. But the best way to describe what a retrograde is in astrology, when our planets are circling the sun. Let's say Earth is spinning at a certain speed, and then you've got, let's say, Venus is spinning at a certain, all of them are going around. And naturally, these planets that are going at different times then suddenly come into parallel. And what happens is it's actually an illusion from what we would call like the north of the sun. But as Earth crosses paths with particular planets, it's an illusion that they go backwards. If you were to imagine them doing this and then they continue round, but that spin happens energetically. So a retrograde is when energies go backwards. So all of the planets are moving anti-clockwise, but what actually happens is it almost looks like it spins clockwise before it picks back up. But in that motion of the energies, as we're moving past them, that swirling vortex of energies, I mean, it's almost like, I'm going to say, don't get me wrong, when it comes to the science, the hard science that backs this, there is so much more for us to research into, isn't there? But according to astrology, this is what causes that real upheaval in those planetary energies. So right now, one of the major ones that are in retrograde that we're really feeling that reverse energy of is Jupiter. And Jupiter right now is in the star sign of Taurus. With the time that we have this evening, because this is just, I feel like it's opened a whole can of worms of what I would love to guide you through. There will no doubt be a part 2. There's going to be a printout that I'm going to create. But we're really going to sort of focus on the major ones that are in retrograde right now. That little explanation of the spinning is a very simply put explanation of the term retrograde, of the energies going backward. And right now, let me just... I'm just going to make sure that I actually stay on track. So it isn't actually reversing its orbit, but it's the energies of, we're in the tailwind of the reversing of, as it kind of does this loop around from where we're orbiting. So as I said, Jupiter right now is in retrograde, and we've got 6. The 6 are the following, and I'm going to share with you a little overview on each, and this is what's going to come with the printout as well. We've got Saturn. Venus has just finished on the 3rd of September, so that we're still apparently feeling those energies, but that has finished. We're at the very tail end of that. Then there is Mercury, Jupiter is one of the big, strongest ones that we're in right now, Pluto and Neptune. So the typical things that we're feeling right now is that upheaval. If you are feeling, the best way to describe it is unsteady, like you have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. This is why, because there are certain planets that they are in like a, ooh, it's time to put your foot to the floor, let's go kind of energy. It can spark creativity. Some of the planets can spark not only creativity, but clarity. So it might feel like you're receiving downloads. But then on the other hand, we've got other planets that are in retrograde that can then have that break energy where it's going, you've got some things that are coming up to the surface that are unresolved. And I know we speak about this with the moon energies as well, don't we? But when those things come up to the surface, it's really important for us to remind ourselves of this. When we're facing challenges, when things are being brought to our attention, when we're facing those challenging conversations, or all of a sudden it feels like you're clashing in relationships or friendships or in your career, it isn't happening. We're not a victim to those things happening. If we really see this as these things are happening because energetically they've been buried underneath the surface, and now it's in the trusting that when we're experiencing these retrogrades and we're experiencing these upheavals, that it's actually working in our favor. So tonight, I almost feel is a little bit of a debunking, demystifying, because like I said before, oh, my mum's, if you didn't catch it, I didn't record it, but I was sharing that my mum's received texts today pretending to be me, and she sent a stranger over £1,000, 3 payments, 600 and something. It's heartbreaking. And then you hear someone's laptop's broke, someone's this is broke, someone's out. We hear of all the typical retrograde challenges that happen, but it isn't just a time of destruction and negative things. If anything, far from. Because what we want to be doing with this is seeing these times and these energies when we're experiencing that push and pull, when we're experiencing things being brought up to the surface, as a time of introspection. Retrogrades are actually a time to slow, to go within, to really reflect on if something feels like it's butting heads, for an example, why? What's the pattern here? We don't just want to be going, this is a red pen and this is a challenge in my life. It's, have I had this red pen before? What's in? I've never really looked at the lid. Who's this by? It's a bit okay. Can you see the difference between this is just a red pen and really looking at why I have this? What could this be bringing up to the surface for me? Is there something that maybe is a repeated pattern? And I mean, planets are basically in retrograde all the time. We go through phases throughout the year, and will continue. It isn't just a rinse and repeat every year. This is a continuous change and an evolution as we continue on in the future. We can't just sit and wait for retrogrades to finish. This is about learning and adapting and going within and looking at what's coming up to the surface. So I'm just going to share with you, and like I said, I'm going to get this in a workbook for you, I promise. Let's have a look at Mercury retrograde. So this is sort of a bit of an overview of the commonly discussed one. So Mercury retrograde, this is the planet of communication. So I don't know if you want to make any notes as well on this. This is the planet of communication, technology, and travel. And this goes into retrograde several times a year. I think this is the one that tends to get the bad rap, isn't it? And during Mercury retrograde, there can be misunderstandings, communication issues, delays in travel plans, and problems with technology. And it's often a time for reflection, reevaluation, and visiting old projects. And when I kind of like dive deeper into this meaning of revisiting old projects, this isn't just that, oh, I was making a scrapbook last year, or, the typical things that we kind of see as projects. It can include those, of course, but see projects as experiences in our life. This might be relationships. This might be a lot around that communication. So that's that typical Mercury retrograde. The other one that we hear a lot about, that what we're really going to be sort of focusing on, is Jupiter. And Jupiter, this is the exciting part, is the planet of expansion and growth. And it goes into retrograde for about 4 months of each year. So this is the one that we are like neck deep in right now. And this is on until the 30th of December. So we've just come into this energy now. And Jupiter retrograde often encourages inner growth, self-reflection, and a deeper understanding of our belief systems. And whilst we're on Jupiter, what we're actually going to be, I'm going to guide you through a really powerful exercise. When I kind of really tuned into, I could churn a load of information out tonight, but like, where's the substance? What are we really going to do with this tonight? A exercise came to me, and it's an NLP exercise, and it's called perceptual positioning. For anyone who has done NLP or is familiar with NLP, you will no doubt have heard this one. And it is used a hell of a lot when it comes to working through communication. So we're going to come back into that. I just thought I would share that this is something that we're going to be coming on to very, very soon. The other one that we are in right now that I'm going to share with you, this is sort of the last one that I'm going to share of the information, is Saturn. Saturn is the planet of discipline and structure. It goes into retrograde for approximately 4.5 months each year. So again, can we see those twirling motions? It's all come together right now. This period may involve reviewing responsibilities, setting boundaries, and addressing issues related to authority. So I want you to just have a little reflect that, are you being drawn to reviewing your responsibilities, setting boundaries? Are your boundaries being crossed? Like, let's be honest, in life, we very rarely bring things up to the surface and go, do you know what? Feeling great in life at the moment. I'm going to set some boundaries. I'm going to revisit my values. If you're working with a coach, maybe, but it tends to be that when we're in a place of being challenged, when we're in a place of struggles or issues coming up to the surface, that's when we tend to go, no, or our boundaries get crossed. It tends to be when we experience the contrast of what we desire, do we then recognize there's a gap there, there's a bleed here. So how do we stop that and put firmer boundaries in place, for an example? So it does tend to come from the challenges that we then start to think, right, this is what I need to deal with. So is Saturn something that you're experiencing, feeling quite a lot of right now? That discipline and structure and boundaries and authority? Is it Jupiter? Are you in a place, and share it in the chat, or if you're watching live, I'll have to catch up after and I'll chat back to you then. But Jupiter, are you feeling in a place of growth and expansion and really enjoying going within, or being called to journal maybe, or meditate more? If so, you're really feeling into that Jupiter energy. And Mercury, are you in a place where maybe there's misunderstandings with communication issues and things like that? It's funny because it's funny, but not funny. This makes a lot of sense. But when we got to the airport on the way home from Bulgaria, after having some like complications with there was no flight to come home, basically. And then when the flight came through, it was about 4 times the cost of what we expected it to be, if not more, probably about 6 times the cost each per person. But we were going, so we obviously had to fly home. And then when we got to the airport, we hadn't checked in online. Note to anyone watching, if you ever fly with Wizz Air, which we never have done before, I just thought it was a little company, didn't think anything of it, no email to say check in. 200 euros, 48 euros to print our boarding cards per person. It's those little things. But again, it's the same if it's those. How do we learn from that? We could, like me and Carl, we literally were like, we're not even going to talk about this. There's no one to blame for this. We are now wiser than we were maybe 200 quid down, but we're wiser now. And it really is about seeing how we self-manage those experiences. Should we be in it? Are there friends and family to help? Who are the ones that are there by your side? Is there a communication? Does that bring up blame and shame? Because that would have been really easy, because I booked the flights. If there was an email, it would have come to my email. Carl could have quite easily have thrown a blame card there, but he didn't. So we worked through it. And so is there anything going on for you right now where you're resonating with any of these? Feel free to share, feel free to unmute, come on and join. So yes, those are kind of the main planets that we are in right now. And as we're going to sort of focus tonight on the Jupiter one, with that planet of expansion, this is about expansion and growth within ourselves. But what we're really going to be looking at is, if there are any issues, what attention are they calling you to look at? So, because so often in life, if we are experiencing that conflict or communication or issues that need to be resolved, we can quite easily, and I'm going to say this is no matter the kind of mindset things that we work on, and it's very easy to simply look through our eyes at a situation. Is that just me? Like, I have to constantly be checking in with what perception, whose perception am I looking through? Is this purely my own, or am I able to see someone else's perception? Because when we're only looking at things from our perception, that's when we tend to judge others. That's when we can easily fall into that trap of, well, I would have done things differently, or I wouldn't have handled things differently that way, or how rude is that, or how neglectful, or how. And when we have those perceptions, that doesn't serve us. It really doesn't serve us. And the more that we can let this be our reminder tonight, that every situation has, if there's anyone else involved, there are different perceptions, there are different belief systems that things are being filtered through. So I'm going to guide you through, as I said, an exercise to whether this is something that supports you right now, if there's a conflict that you're experiencing, or maybe a misunderstanding. It might be from the past or currently. Or if you're like, nothing's really coming to me, fantastic. Just absorb, write this down, because I'm pretty sure that at some point in your life, you may utilize this NLP exercise. But as I shared, this is called perceptual positioning. And I am going to invite you, if you have got pen and paper there, to put pen and paper down for now. And just begin to roll your shoulders back and bring your eyes to a close. And I want you to just have a think. Is there someone in your life right now that maybe there is a bit of conflict with? This might be in the workplace. It might be family. It might be a friend. I did this not so long ago with someone whose parent forgot to check in with their children's first day. And this brought up childhood wounds. This brought up so much for my client. It was heartbreaking how much this brought up, that someone hadn't sent a text on a particular day. We strip it all back. And by doing this exercise, the release and the shift was huge. So I'm just giving you that little example. So see if there is someone or something that's coming to mind. Okay. With your eyes closed, I'm just going to pause myself for a moment because I'm just going to have a very quick drink of water. So with your eyes closed now, I want you to bring that person to the forefront of your mind and imagine that, and this is even better done if you were to stand up. If you're like, hell, I need this, I urge you, if you're able to stand up. If not, you can sit down and envision yourself either sat in a chair with the person opposite you, or you could imagine yourself stood up facing this person. Depending on the kind of person, if it is someone that maybe does trigger trauma, does trigger negative emotions, put a plastic perspex screen between you both now. And that perspex screen, they can hear you through, you can hear them, but they cannot come near you. Just add that in if that helps you to feel more relaxed, should you need to. And now I want you to look at that person. And I want you to bring to mind the challenge that you have. And I want you to, in your mind's eye, tell that person your truth. Tell that person what you feel that they need to know. And of course, they can't, this isn't something that they can physically hear. So really let this flow. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment. Whether this is anger, cross words, maybe you don't feel heard, maybe you feel misunderstood. Just imagine that you're communicating this to them and they are not answering. There's no change in body language or facial expressions. You're simply communicating your truth to them. Well done. And now I want you to imagine that that form of you is staying there. That you is staying there. I want you to just imagine now that your soul is traveling out. And if the perspex glass is there, it goes around that. If not, I want you to just imagine that your soul, your higher self, whatever that is walking around, and you're going to step into the shoes of that person. And you're going to look out through their eyes at yourself. Notice what you notice. Feel what you can feel as you are looking, without even speaking, at yourself through their eyes. And now what do they say back? What might they say to you? Now, this might be their perception on the situation. Notice how you look through their eyes, how your energy feels through their eyes. And it might even be, if you can really go deep into this, that you can even sense their perception, but their belief system, their energy. And now take a breath. And now, really just allowing that to be taken on board. If that felt in a certain way, if that felt good, if there was anything that came through to you, I'm going to invite you now, your soul, your higher self, to step out of their shoes. And you're going to come and stand as an observer. And you're going to look on with yourself on one side and that other person, if it's a particular person, on the other side. And observe. What do you see? What do you sense? Are you able to see the wood for the trees? Can you see beyond, whether that's a conflict, whether that is a miscommunication? And then really take on board anything that you do see or sense. And a great place here is to look for resolution. What might that look like? Now you can see from both sides better than you could before. Dawn. And now in your own time, you can begin to become aware of your surroundings. Really taking on board, allowing your subconscious mind to take on and integrate anything. If there was something that came through to you, and in your own time, you can open up your eyes. This is the first time I've done this in a group setting. This would usually be on a one-to-one. So it'll be interesting if anyone was able to navigate through that. If you are experiencing, like I said, that communication, and this might even be not necessarily something that's happening now. You could always use this if you're experiencing conflict or misunderstanding with someone from the past. Please use the chat if there was anything, even if it's just a thumbs up, if there was something that you want to unmute and share, that would be amazing to hear. And of course, I will always say, don't worry if not. It'd be interesting to know, even if you want to voice memo me after or message me after, if you don't wish to share now, but it would be great to know. Because the beautiful thing with this exercise, this is great to do if you have kids as well. If there's ever a conflict on the playground, if there's a conflict in the workplace, you can utilize this. So I would highly recommend making note of it. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment. And once again, just going to mute myself and have a little drink whilst you make any notes, or if you wish to share. Okay, Karen, do you know that came to my mind actually when I wondered if it may be. So yeah, pop me a little message after, absolutely. And that is an example of really using our higher self as well to work through conflict. Because how often do we mind read people as well? If it's someone in the workplace, maybe we only know them on a professional level sometimes. And we mind read who they are, what their values are, why are they such a whatever. And sometimes when we see things from that different angle, that gives us a whole new light. And when we have a whole new light, we're able to put more boundaries in place from a place of love and compassion. I remember when I was first training many years ago in NLP and doing this, and I was like, I'm not really in conflict. I'm in a happy marriage. I'm doing this. I got this. I was like, just picture my mum. And oh my God, the tears. Oh my Lord, because for the first time I saw myself through my mum's eyes. And yeah, it was such an incredible experience. So this is something that you could do even with people from childhood. Really, really powerful. So anyway, I hope that you've taken something from that. And as I shared, that is a bit of an overview on navigating retrogrades. And I think the biggest takeaways from this, because I'm going to share a printout in the next week on the typical retrogrades, what they mean, what's significant about them, and what they can bring up, is remembering that we are able to slow down, reminding ourselves that we don't always have to go head on if that's how we're feeling, that by actually taking those moments to pause, really, really powerful to switch that perception, that into perspective, and remember that we never truly know what other people are thinking. So we're going to be moving on now to the new moon, because we are in the new moon in Virgo. And this is actually the last new moon before equinox and the eclipse season begins. So we really are just starting to nudge slowly but surely into the autumnal stage, into the autumnal season. It's so exciting. I'm just going to very quickly check to see if anyone is on or commenting. I can't see any comments. Let me just check. No, perfect. Okay. So the new moon, as I shared, this is in Virgo. So I'm just going to share with you a little bit. My notes are on here. And this is really about, it's introspection again. It is looking at, where are our heels dug in life? Are there any areas in life where our heels are dug in, that we feel a bit stuck in our own ways? Virgo can be quite a headstrong, if I believe this, then this is it. So if we are feeling almost challenged at the moment under the retrogrades with the new moon energy, this is a time to reflect and focus on what's to come. Focus on re-lifting our heels and thinking, how can I make the rest of the year feel more flowing? How can I make the rest of the year feel really good for me? Having that reflect back on what works well for you, on what doesn't work well for you. Where do you need to bring your heels out of the ground and stop trying to swim upstream, I suppose is the best way to describe it, and start to allow that downstream flow as we begin to come towards the end of the year. So I'm so sorry, I've got such a dry throat. I'm going to have another drink in a moment when we're going to come into a meditation. I'm non-stop talking today. So we're going to be coming into a beautiful meditation and some journal prompts for the rest of the session. So I'm going to invite you to sit back, get comfortable, and close your eyes. Just begin to take a few deep breaths. I'm just going to mute myself one last time. Wonderful. So we're going to be going through a gentle meditation for really helping to soothe any feelings of feeling unsettled, is probably the best way to describe it. Allowing ourselves to get more into that ease and flow. And there's actually I felt very called, is probably the best way to describe it, to bring in a bit of a physical thing for the new moon for this evening. So with your eyes closed, bring your attention and your awareness to your heart space. Take some long breaths with your attention and your awareness there. If it feels good to you, you can place your hands onto your heart. You may even gently massage your heart. Great way to do this is with your 4 fingertips, just in a gentle circle motion. You may almost just feel your skin moving, gently bringing that around. Or you can also tap around your heart space. Take a few deep breaths and then rest your left hand on your heart, right hand on your stomach or your womb space. Taking a few more deep breaths. I'm just going to share a mantra. And may your conscious and subconscious mind hear these words, and should they resonate, let them be your own. I love myself just a little more each day. I work to release and let go of my stresses and any anxieties a little more each day. Today, I support my body by cleansing and releasing all that blocks me, all that triggers me, all that keeps me in fear. I feel light. I feel open. I know I am love. My energy is protected and clear. And you can repeat after me, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want you to just imagine now that coming out of your heart is a beautiful bubble of light. As you breathe now, just imagine that a single bubble is drifting out of your heart. And you can see that in front of you now. Just notice the beautiful pearlescent light as it catches. And I want you to look at what that bubble of light means to you. That's just come straight out of your heart. What is your heart full of? Let that bubble of light represent your heart's essence. This might be courage, love, strength. It's almost like you're looking at an energy that represents your heart in front of you now. And I want you to begin to let this bubble expand before your very eyes. And as it expands and grows, and you see that beautiful pearlescent casing on the bubble, you begin to see movement, images inside the bubble. You look closer. If you will, you take hold of the bubble so gently. It's so light, but so strong. Nothing can pop it. And if you wish, you can hold that in your hands, almost like a crystal ball, or you may simply just leave it floating in front of you. And I want you to look inside of that now and see what's within. If you imagine that this bubble not only represents your heart, your love, your strength, your courage, but this is going to almost be like a movie playing out the rest of the year. You're going to see this maybe shapes, people, places, emotions represented. Just begin to look at what's within the bubble now. What do you have waiting for you for the rest of 2023? See, what are you willing in? And what is your heart ready for the remainder of the year? And as you begin to see and sense those things within the bubble gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's encasing the whole room, until it encases you and you are within this beautiful bubble of light. And I want you to answer this question within your bubble of love and light. Let whatever comes to you roll through your mind. Let your heart answer. For the next 4 months, I wish to cultivate. My focus moving forward is. So let the answer roll. My vision for the rest of 2023 is. Just notice what comes to you. That's one. I can create more ease by. I can create more ease by. When that your conscious and subconscious mind is taking on board all that you see, sense and feel, hear, taste and touch. And don't worry about trying to remember these consciously. I want you to just take another deep breath as you really embrace and embody the sensation of being encased in love. Unconditional love, unconditional guidance and support, this universal loving energy. May you hear these words, and if they resonate, may they be yours. I embody this energy of love. I am creating room in my mind, my heart and life to bring in more love, joy, and gratitude. I am surrounded by love and light. My space is filled with abundant, peaceful energy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I want you to imagine that that bubble is beginning to get smaller around you till it feels like it's your aura. I want you to place your left hand onto your heart, right hand onto your stomach. It's almost like that bubble is a part of your energy system. Take a deep breath now. And if it feels good to, I'm going to urge you to bring your hands together, rub your palms with your eyes closed. You may hear me doing mine. And I want you to almost just hold your hands out now as if there is a sphere of light between them. Keep your eyes closed. You may feel a tingle, almost like you're holding an energy ball in your hand. And all of what you've just brought to your mind's eye, anything that you've just felt, any intentions, just imagine now that they are in this energy ball, this bubble. You may even shrink it down a little bit smaller. And if you will, bring that to the palm of your hands, take a deep breath in, and I want you to, with your eyes closed, almost as if you're looking up towards the new moon, up towards the universe. Take a deep breath in and blow the palms of your hand. Imagine that you are blowing that up. That is being received. You are heard, you are felt. You are special, you are worthy. May the remainder of this year be filled with peace, love, abundance, and flow. May your intuition speak loudly to you and have the courage to trust and follow. May all your dreams, desires be coming into manifestation and fruition in the divine time for yourself and the divine time of all involved for the highest good of all. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. Take a breath and just release your hands down. And in your own time, you can begin to come back to the room, to your surroundings. Have a big stretch. I'm actually going to urge you to put your hands up towards the ceiling and just move your body for a moment. I would actually recommend, if you're able to after this, 10 minutes of gentle stretching, whether this is stretching through the neck, if you have a yoga mat and you want to just do a little bit of gentle movement, that would be wonderful for you to do. And pen to paper, I'm just going to let me know in the comments if you feel good, share if you feel called to. I'm just going to share those 4 questions with you now and give you a little recommendation to go with them. That's the best way that I can describe it. The 4 questions, if you've got pen and paper. For the next 4 months, I wish to cultivate. For the next 4 months, I wish to cultivate. We are now into the Q4, into the last quarter of the year. And I'm not going to recommend that you answer this right now, unless it's like, it's just flowing through to you. The next journal prompt or question is, my focus moving forward is. My focus moving forward is. I can create more ease by. So the next 4 months I wish to cultivate. My focus moving forward is. I can create more ease by. And the last one, My vision for the rest of 2023 is. My vision for the rest of 2023 is, and that can sound like a big question. It might just be flow. Or your vision might be something really particular. And I'm going to recommend with these, because we have answered them within our bubble of love and light, that you make yourself a herbal tea at some point, whether it is tonight, if you're feeling this flow and you're like, oh, I love it, make yourself a drink, a herbal tea, a glass of milk, or whatever that is. I would highly recommend avoiding alcohol for these, but herbal tea would be fantastic. And the reason why this is just that extra is, as you are reflecting on these questions, I want you to really smell the smells, stir, be present, watch the steam. Because so often we could go, oh God, the vision for the rest of 2023, I just don't really know. When we find stillness and we activate our senses, our taste, what does that teaspoon sound like when we stir it? What does that sound like when we drop the tea bag in? Are you a squeezer or a not squeezer? What's that smell like? What does it look like? When we activate our senses, this is where our sixth sense come in, our higher self, because we're quieting the mind and opening the heart. We're being in that present moment. So you may wish to journal on these. It might feel like you've already done it with answering those questions in your mind, but I'm going to recommend pen to paper with your journal over this next week, if not all in one go, and you write from your heart. And I'm really hoping that you've enjoyed this here tonight. I feel like we've got through loads. Like time has gone, like time's on our side tonight. I feel like we've got through loads. We've done 2 exercises as well, and very, very strange. I'm loving this. Focus, cultivate unconditional love for self. Can we just? Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, Sarah. So yeah, if you have anything that you wish to share from tonight, I would love to hear your experience. Like, pop me a message, pop me a voice memo. And of course, as we move and flow over the rest of this month, yeah, that is what I'm really hoping, that this is just sort of giving you those extra little nuggets to run with. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Sending so much love. Catch you soon. Bye, ladies. Thank you for joining. Bye.